I want to go ahead and I want to move on to another review. And that is my review for Swarm. Donald Glover's mini, or I guess limited series, they like to call it now, is limited series chat, which for those who don't know, Swarm is a satirical comedy, horror, thriller series, very genre-bending series, and follows the character of Dre Green, a young woman whose obsession with a pop star leads her down a dark and deranged path of violence and murder. And I know a lot of people in my community and the Double Toast community wanted me to talk about this show for quite some time. And I know we weren't able to get to it, but, I recently spent the time to watch the entire series. It's only 7 episodes. And again, pretty short episodes, too. I don't think they're any longer than 35, 40 minutes. So also another easy watch. But this is, Donald Glover's, latest project. And I want to talk about just Donald Glover in general. As I said before I started this review, like Donald Glover to me is kind of one of the most interesting creators out there right now. He's very much, I think he's a renaissance man, because even like his humble beginnings, like people forget, he started as a YouTuber. He started making funny videos on YouTube and doing like that series, that YouTube series, the Mystery Squad. And they did a movie. Of course, but that's like where he originally started. And then, he became like a writer on things like 30 Rock, and then of course, Community, and then after Community, I feel like that's when he really truly, blew up. Already, his name was the pop culture zeitgeist. People were suggesting like, hey, he should be the next. Remember back in the day, people were saying he should be the next Spider-Man. That blew up, and that kind of was the inception point that led to Miles Morales from Brian Michael Bendis. It's like he's just been involved in like a lot of big pop culture zeitgeist moments for I think the last 20 years, and then obviously getting the stand-up comedy, and then, his music career, his Childish Gambino. Like, even Chad, someone who's very, I've always said, I'm very ignorant when it comes to music, but I'm like, I know Childish Gambino. I've listened to his music. I recognize his music when they have it in movies like, Get Out. And it's like, oh, wow, this is really good. I really like him. And then, obviously, him as a writer and director for his, series at Atlanta, which wrapped up not too long ago. And, it's a series I've liked overall. I've had my issues with certain episodes, but there's been some great the guy's just produced really interesting, things for, 15 years now? And so I'm always excited to see what he's going to do. And, now he's kind of giving us his new thriller series of Swarm. And I was interested in checking the show just because I think initially, like a lot of people, I think were liking it and saying like, oh, this is really good. I'm really loving it. It's some great thrillers, some great performances here. But then there was something that irked a lot of people. And I guess a lot of people had issues with the end. And they're like, I shouldn't even bother to watch it. And so I was like, I'm very curious about that. And even heard from like Martin Thomas of DT. He says that he was really enjoying the show. And in his words, those last 2 episodes kind of killed it for him. So I was like, I'm very curious about this. Because, there have been some controversial or, less liked episodes from Atlanta that didn't work for a lot of people. Might have worked for me, but didn't work for others. So I was like, I wanted to approach this. But the one thing I will say, at the very top, to be very positive right now, I've watched the entire, for those who don't know, I've watched all 7 episodes. It's a limited series, all 7 episodes of this series. So I know how it starts and I know how it ends. One thing at the top I'll say is like this series has just like a big cast of characters. All of which you do a great job of the material that they're given. And sometimes these actors only show up like in a couple episodes or just in 1 episode, but that's it. They do make an impact. But to me, it's very much Dominic Fishback. I believe that's how you're saying Dominic. Dominique Fishback as the character of Dre Green. That's going to keep you invested and interested the whole way through. Her performance and the transformation she just goes through, like I would describe it as kind of like are grotesquely fascinating and kind of like beautiful to watch, especially as you realize, because initially, like when you first watch this episode, you're like, I don't really know what this is about. I don't know what this is, what this is going towards. What is this? But you realize, especially after the first 3 episodes, you're like, oh, this is what this series is about. This is what's really going on. This is what she really is. And I thought that was cool. Someone who I wasn't really exposed to any of the marketing. I may have seen some stuff. I feel like some of the marketing what left little to the imagination. Like, okay, what's kind of going on? There is an inciting moment that places the character of Jay Green on this kind of dark path that she's on, involving her friend, this character, Marissa. And we just kind of watch her spiral to become a destructive, narcissistic, big word of the day, chat, an emotionally stunted monster in this show. And we both see kind of subtle things and more overt things, throughout the series. Like, overall, this for people don't know, this show is a commentary on fandom, obsession, and how the two of those things can sometimes be derived, or they come from a place of trauma or mental instability. More specifically, it's definitely commenting on, in my opinion, the Beyonce fan base. That's what this whole show is kind of about, or taking a lot of influence from the beehive, if you will. The more obsessive side of it. And one that I kind of wonder, like, Donald Glover maybe encountered himself, while working with Beyonce and something like The Lion King. He's like, this is inspiring me. I want to take some of this and maybe what he experienced from the hive while working with Beyonce on that movie. Because it's taking a lot from that. Like, where you have this character, this pop star in this series, Naija, who Dre and her best friend / sister are obsessed with. And that leads Dre down this kind of horrific, murderous path for the next 7 episodes. And I thought that was interesting. It also made me realize, like, oh shit, I would definitely be one of Dre Green's victims for the amount of shit that I've talked about. Beyonce, both in terms of her acting and also for her butchering of the music in Lion King. But all that I feel like is handled pretty well. And I like the comparisons that were being made to that the most extreme of that fan base. Because, like, wow, I mean, yeah, these people definitely exist. And this obsession, this idea that your whole life is just dedicated to this individual who doesn't even know you exist, who has no idea, but every moment of your waking life is just about this person and what decisions you make are because of this person. And it shows, like, just how dark and twisted and unstable that can get for that individual as it goes on for weeks, for months, for years. And that's what the series kind of goes into. And I really like it for that, because it is creepy, it is captivating as you follow this character, and, like, everyone around her for the most part is just kind of expendable. And Chad, it could be good people and also other narcissistic people that are similar to her, and also explores other elements of social media behavior. Like, you can have a person, they have like a character in the show, and everyone's great. I will talk about the other characters in just a bit, and there's some other outstanding supporting performances in the show. But you have, like, these guest stars are just there for like an episode or like half an episode, and they present themselves in this way. But you see, like, there's other aspects of their behavior that might not be displayed. Like, they also talk about the idea of, like, trolls online who just get off to the idea of posting incendiary rhetoric on, like, Twitter, saying, like, if anything happens to this bitch, the character of Naija, the Beyonce character, I wouldn't even give a shit. And so it's like, even the person presents was like, oh, I'm a nice guy and everything, but you have, like, this really shitty, like, online presence. They bring that up, and I like that. I thought that was cool, and just say, like, hey, even though these things can seemingly be unrelated, it shows another side of the person. So I thought that was cool. And also probably Donald Glover's own experience, as he's a celebrity. He probably has met crazy obsessed fans. He's like, what the hell is going on? So he's probably also bringing a little bit of his own experiences into this as well. But also a lot of, just probably what he's seen from Beyonce and her fan base. Other thing, as I said before, chat, you have like a huge cast of characters in this show. And again, some just around for like a single episode, maybe two. Maybe they'll occasionally be referenced, but only for like a bit or like a minute. But, I really wanted to play. There were several people I really wanted to praise. And, well, two in particular. One is the actress Chloe Bailey, which I don't know if I've seen her or anything, but she plays the character of Marissa, who initially starts out as the best friend, the sister of Dre. Really liked her performance. There's a lot more to her, and just how she kind of functions in the relationship with Dre, and it goes from, again, being like very loving to like being very toxic and obsessive, and she has her own issues as well, and she's a recurring thing that's always on Dre's mind. She's one of the big driving factors into Dre Green's psychosis in this show. And the other person I wanted to bring up, chat, which I didn't know they were in this, and I don't know if they've acted in anything before, but Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish, she plays one of the, I think one of the best supporting characters in the show. And she's only one episode, but she plays the character of Eva, who runs this woman's empowerment cult. She is great. She's amazing, and she's like this very subtly nefarious character in the show. And she gets one of the absolute best scenes with Dominique Fishback, where they have just this back and forth therapy session. I'm like, that's outstanding. Like, the emotion that those two brought, so good. I want to see Billie Eilish. I know a lot of people say, like, I hate her music. Again, maybe that's also why Donald Glover brought her in, because she has that also very passionate fan base and who has weirdos and people who are crazy. But then she also has those haters in here as well. But her role, I thought, was fantastic. She was so good in the episode that she was in, and I loved her chemistry with Fishback. Wonderful. She crushes it. Now here's the thing. Like, I'm praising a lot of this show. I'm saying that I'm loving the performances. I'm liking the story of this character of Jay Green, whose obsession with this pop star and her obsession with her friend Marissa, and compels her to do these continuously horrific, things throughout the show. I do think this show has some issues, and this is kind of a spoiler for the series, chat, but in order to talk about these last two episodes, especially the penultimate episode, which I actually like, some people do not like this. Like Martin, I know, of Double Toasted, he did not. But, so let me just say this. This is a bit of a spoiler. You learn while watching this show is like, watching Dre, you realize like, oh, she's a serial killer. That's what this is. It's like, you realize, like, this is the humble beginnings of a serial killer. And I was like, oh, that was, like, really interesting. Like, this is a serial killer realizing, like, oh, I am a serial killer. I know that compels me. And through her interactions, you get more and more. It's like, oh, that's what's going on. See, I didn't know if that was in the trailer. I know if I was curious, like, the marketing of this, because I felt like, they were kind of building towards that. It was kind of like a secret. It's like, oh, shit, that's what she really is. So, yeah, but you're following a serial killer, which is also, I will say, just is really interesting to me. Because oftentimes when it comes to, just serial killers in fiction, they typically are male and white, right? And of course there are some exceptions, of course, but we don't often see many female serial killers. Obviously there's other great ones in fiction, like Charlize Theron's performance in Monster, a wonderful movie. But we really I could be wrong, but I can't think of a single female black serial killer in like any piece of media, whether it be a movie or a TV show. Like, there might be something, but I just don't know. And so I was like, oh, and they even pointed out, like, in the episode, in the series, this particular episode too, with the penultimate one, that's like, it is really unusual to have like a black female serial killer, and one that is as successful as she is in this series. I was like, that makes it unique. It makes it stand out compared to like just a lot of serial killer stuff that we see. Usually it's like, it's mostly male, white males, So I was like, oh, that kind of stands out. I like that. It was a little different. So the thing is, and I will say now I can kind of tell Donald Glover's shtick, or certain things that he actually just really likes or likes to maybe comment on. One of the things that I think he really likes to do now is do mockumentary episodes. And we kind of saw that with the in the final season of Atlanta. We had that great mockumentary episode where it was about the black CEO of the Walt Disney who was behind the Goofy movie. He wanted to make it the blackest movie ever made. Of course, that was all fictional, but it was presented in a way of like, hey, this actually happened. They do something very similar here. Actually, they do it pretty much, exactly the same here, where the 7th episode is where you have this kind of mockumentary style of a true crime doc on Dre Green and how a detective who was played by like an actor and all the other people in the show are played by actors playing real people who we've already seen in the series itself, but now they look distinctly different from each other. It's like, okay, basically them talking about Dre and what led them to discover like who she is and what she's doing. And I think for a lot of people, it's going to throw them off. I kind of liked it because I just saw like, oh, this is Donald Glover's commentary on true crime, documentaries and how they're so bullshit. Like from like the acting and like from the style of filmmaking and the cinematography and just the filler they put in there. It's like I see what he was doing, but I feel like for a lot of people, it's gonna throw them off and it'll might take away from like the narrative that is just focusing on Dre Green and Dominique Fishback's performance. I thought it was interesting and cool because it's like, oh, this would exist if they were still like, where they feel like, oh, we know who this person is now. We're trying to find them. We're going to put out a documentary out there. People know, and also just, for entertainment purposes as well. But I feel like that might take people out. I found it entertaining, but I don't think it's going to work for everyone. It clearly didn't work for Martin Thomas, I was like, I get it. Now I have to say, the final episode, I think rushes way too many things because we get that mockumentary episode and then immediately go back to just the way the series is, and it takes place sometime later, but they rush through too many things, especially in regards to kind of Dre's evolution as a murderer, as a serial killer, and they bring in like a lot of new characters and how they set up certain things. It's very confusing. Like I'm like, I don't understand the ending of this show. To the point I'm like, I don't really know what happened. It's like, did literally what happened, or is it just like, it's some fantasy? And I don't know. And also some really bad CGI. There's also some really, most of the time, like this show uses some great practical effects and it's like really good practical stuff, especially for all the murders and things. And it looks very realistic and just like, oh my God. It's very graphic, but there is a CGI shot in this, and I'm like, I kind of see what you're doing, and it, it makes sense to like for the character of Dre and how she sees someone. It's like that's how she's always saw them because she's basically imposing, she's imprinting on this individual based on something traumatic that happened to her in the past. I'm like, I get that, but the way in which it's shown, not great, and just like how it all plays out in like the last 10 minutes is like, this is kind of nonsense. And it makes me go, what was the point of all this? At the end of the day. And it's frustrating because I really was enjoying the show. I mean, crime thrillers are interesting. I just got finished talking about Barry. Of course, crime thrillers are really interesting. And even about serial killers, all right? But here I'm just like, I don't really get it. I don't know why that played out the way it did. And people might know. Please inform me and tell me, because I just feel like the way they wrap this up, it's like, well, that was thoroughly unsatisfying in every capacity. It's so weird and kind of, I don't know, just undercuts the whole story I feel like you were trying to tell, and just the themes that you were playing with and what you were referencing. It's so fantastical, and I guess that's also kind of Donald Glover's thing now. Is that he plays with that, and even played with that in the finale for Atlanta. It's like, it's fantastic, almost like a fairy tale. I'm like, if people, listen, I'll tell you right now, if you guys have issues with the finale for Atlanta and how that kind of all wraps everything up, Donald Glover does the same thing here. And I find it kind of frustrating and unsatisfying. I was like, what was the point of all that then? And it's like, well, you got to read between the lines is what's really happening. And it's just like, well, just show that. Just show it, you know? But there's a lot of great things about this show. I think Dominique Fishback is amazing. I think Chloe Bailey is great as the character of Marissa, who pops up throughout the show. Billie Eilish gives an outstanding guest performance. I think she's really, really good. I was like, I can't believe. At first, I was like, this is Billie Eilish. I didn't recognize her at first, and because I was just so surprised by her performance. But she's great. And again, Dominique Fishback is amazing, and it's very well shot. It's very well shot. But man, that ending, Chad, and I think the penultimate episode will throw people off. So I don't know. I feel like for me, if I had to give this a rating, because it's the whole series is out there right now. It's one and done as far as I know. Like I can't imagine they're going to do they're not going to do a second season. It's like a low matinee for me. Entertaining, great performances, but man, I think they really dropped the ball at the end there. But that's just my thoughts on Swarm. What about you guys? What do you think of Donald Glover's latest series? Are you depending how you feel, are you excited to see more from Donald Glover in the future? Despite, how I feel like it ended, I still want to see more from him. I still think he's incredibly talented. But I don't know, those endings, I just wish he was able to wrap things up a little tighter. That's my thoughts, Chad. I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and I wanted to take the time to tell you about the movie of the week, a film that I really enjoy and one that I think you will too. This week's movie is the John Wick trilogy. Just in time for the release of John Wick Chapter 4, the trilogy stars Keanu Reeves and follows a legendary hitman who is forced out of retirement to seek revenge against the men who killed his dog, a final gift from his recently deceased wife. If anyone is interested in purchasing this fantastic film series, please make use of the Amazon affiliate link below in the video description. Your purchase of the film not only earns me a helpful commission, but any purchase you may make after clicking the link itself for 24 hours would help earn me additional commissions as well. Doesn't matter if it's a Blu-ray, a video game, a pair of socks, or a washing machine. Everything within 24 hours of that click can really help the channel. So go ahead and check out the film, enjoy browsing, and enjoy shopping.